Hello and welcome to Thursdays Live with Chugh. My name is Neha Mahajan and I'm the Business Development and Outreach Manager at Chugh LLP Attorneys and CPAs. And, continuing our discussion from last week where we spoke about global mobility to Canada, this week we're going to talk about global mobility to Latin American market. All right. So now Latin American market actually consists of 33 countries and about 651 million people. Needless to say, it's a hotspot for companies who are either looking to expand, relocate their talent, or even explore newer markets. This is exactly why we have Gerardo Mendez, our global mobility manager, who's joining us today from our Houston office. Gerardo, welcome.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to the audience and to address any questions that they might have about markets in Latin America and how companies can benefit from tapping those markets.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gerardo, global mobility is such a thing. It's not new. It's been happening for the longest time, as far as we know of immigration, right? People have been moving around. But there are newer markets that companies are now trying to explore. And Latin America is not just, a country. It's Central America, it's South America, it's the Caribbean. So the area is really vast, right? So just for our audience's sake, if you could explain what global mobility means, and I know you have a lot of experience in that, Gerardo. You've been, you've been in the relocation industry for over 15 years, and we at Chugh have been, helping companies relocate or open new offices and immigrate to newer countries and explore newer areas for a really, really long time. So your expertise is really invaluable today.
Thank you. Global mobility is technically it's an HR. It's a 21st century HR term, HR function by which multinational companies move employees globally to country. It's from their strategic plans to develop to grow. They look at areas of the world in which they could maximize their potential. They take into account available talent, beneficial policies for that governments have for to attract foreign investors. And Latin America is, like you mentioned, it's not just one country. You can find everything. The entire world put together in could be a major country like Brazil, Mexico, or smaller countries, but more developed like Chile, for example, who has had a lot of growth in the last 2 decades. So it's just depending on the product. Depending on what your product is and what kind of market you want to explore, Latin America has an option for you.
Right. And isn't this what you help clients with? Clients come to you asking, hey, we got this product and we want to open and expand our businesses elsewhere in the world as well. And can you help us identify areas, right?
Yes, that's part of the strategic planning that we can help with clients. Most of the time is just the client telling us where they want to go, and we take care of the end-to-end of the immigration process for their employees and their family members to secure work and residence permits as they are needed.
Yeah. Now I'll get into the whole immigration aspect of, the processes a little later in our discussion today. But really, what are some of the advantages for companies to be interested in the Latin American market? I know it's a hotspot, it's up and growing, but what are some of the advantages as per you?
Yes, like I was mentioning, depending on the area of Latin America that you want to explore, you have regions like Central America where you have access to free trade zones. tax benefits, limited requirements for setting up a company, in the effort that the region has to attract investors and business. You have the untapped markets, like I mentioned again, depending on the product that you're offering, that your company has. There is, at this point, I don't have the number in terms of how much Latin America's GDP grew in the last 20 years, but it's exponential, and that it's projected to keep happening, to keep growing, and that's just the business opportunity that companies can look at and take advantage of. Latin America has a growing middle class, more in more power to like buying power, growing infrastructure in several countries in Latin America. In the past, historically, Latin America hasn't invested a lot of effort or money or time into developing infrastructure, but that has changed and continues to be changing. You have access to economic blocks like Mercosur, which is a major economic block in globally. You have access to that zone. You have agreeable time zones for companies based in the U.S. or as far as Europe. Those are some of the benefits that companies can get from looking at Latin America.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just going to mention, when you mentioned newer infrastructure, I guess that's what companies are also looking for. They don't realize that that Latin America is I feel there are certain prejudices that companies may have towards Latin America, but I guess the newer and growth opportunities that you have in that part of the world are probably not elsewhere. I guess markets elsewhere are kind of saturated when we talk about it.
Yes, and that is part of the attractive or the attraction that Latin America has for companies, the potential to grow. They have that room at the top for growth, and that's something that I believe that the term in the industry is opportunity, like business opportunity to tap into.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you were to describe mobility to LATAM, right, Latin American markets, Latin American countries, how would you describe it?
There are different industries, and they focus on different regions, depending on the benefits, the tax benefits, the how the governments make doing business easier for them in an effort to have them come and invest in their countries. You have, I believe, technology focused in Latin America, in Central America. You have pharmaceuticals and banking focusing more on South America. Just depending on the product, those are the trends that I have seen in the years that I've worked with global immigration. You see manufacturing towards South America, technology, Central America, banking, pharmaceuticals, also South America. So it's just and the companies have grown. Some of my satisfaction is to see I helped somebody get a work visa to go into this country, and now he is the country manager for that company in that country, and it feels good to be part of that journey, and like just part of their growth, and just feels great to have helped somebody like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. That feels great. Now, what are some of the top trends that you foresee, right? Or you're seeing already in this market per se, when it comes to global companies trying to kind of use the mobility programs to Latin America?
As you know, with COVID, a lot of that global mobility, just travel, has halted for a while, and now it's starting to pick up again. I don't think that we're at a point where we can define what the new normal is going to be, and I think that has to take place first before we can. We know that growth is expected, but we don't know yet in terms of numbers or projections. I believe that it's important to first determine that, kind of like companies getting comfortable with what's the new normal going to be, before we can, I guess, make some projections. But growth is expected, as I understand.
All right. So if you're in the manufacturing industry, pharma, banking, or technology, look at the Latin American markets. There's a huge, growth happening in those markets. So if you're a company and you are looking to expand, well, our global mobility team can help you. Gerardo Mendez is with us today from our Houston office, and he's the global mobility manager. I also want to just reiterate we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if you have any questions for us, send them to us in the comment section. info@chugh.com is also our email. If in case you're watching us as a recorded version, and if you want to send us any questions or set up a consult, we'd be happy to do that. Today's discussion, however, and it's just a disclaimer, is only for informational purposes. This does not create an attorney-client relationship. Now, Gerardo, what is some of the top advice that you would give to companies who are looking to expand in the Latin American, market? And what is that the companies must know before they even make a decision or even start the journey of thinking about expanding into Latin America? The kind of pros and cons.
Something that we can help with there is exploring the markets. Like, there are certain countries that are more friendly towards foreign companies coming and setting up business there, and just getting advice on the particular rules and regulations of that country. Something that we can help with. Determining, depending on the industry you're in, there will be specific zones that are more friendly and have more potential toward your product and your potential growth. Just getting advice, getting advice from reputable law firms or experts in subject matter experts, because there are a lot of times that we see companies trying to get local advice without any sort of guidance, and they end up hiring people that are not really the best source of advice, of information, and having to do repeat work with a reputable firm. I guess my top advice would be to get something that we don't assist with is their like, for example, their market study. That's on the clients. But once it's a time of dealing with work permits, setting up a company, tax benefits or tax advice, they should get the services of a reputable firm that is able to respond, to deliver.
Got it. And we help with a lot of these services too, but there are certain services that we may not be able to. But that's not a worry, because we have affiliates, we have our network in those countries, and who are local, accessible to us, and have a good relationship with us, and we are able to advise that to the clients as well, isn't it, Gerardo?
Yes, that is correct. One of the benefits of having the network of local partners is that we can trust that they will take care of our clients the same way we do. So, for example, if there is an area of business that we don't cover, that we don't assist, our network partners have departments like corporate departments or labor departments that are able to handle those cases, those concerns, and we can trust that our clients will be in good hands with them. So we can certainly make that connection and trust that our clients will be in good hands.
Right. And what about our firm? What are the kind of help and support system that we provide to companies who are looking to expand into Latin America? What are some of our and how do we address mobility challenges and opportunities?
The services that we provide is basically, I believe that the simplest and most concise way of doing it is like end to end in the immigration process. We assist with document procurement, document legalization, consular appointments, the local authorities pre-approvals for example, entry permits in Mexico or anything that we have to handle with local authorities. We'll take care of that. Post-arrival processes, appointments, securing of any documents needed for the assignee and their family to be to start working and residing legally in the country. So any type of small step needed to complete the bigger project that is an immigration process, and in that part, the immigration process is just one step of the relocation process, which involves house hunting, looking for schools, culture training, all of that we can, even though our firm might not directly provide those services, we're able to connect with our local network and ensure that our clients receive it.
Yeah, let's just deep dive into the whole immigration process, right, of Latin American countries. Is the process easy to begin with, right? And what should an assignee kind of expect with the process?
Currently, you could say that the processes are normally easy, like defined. You know what you need in terms of steps, in terms of documents per step, in terms of processing times. But in Latin America, sometimes a processing time may vary depending on the country where you are. And now with COVID, there used to be, like I said, let's say in Mexico, we submit an application for an entry permit, and it used to take 4 to 6 weeks. And after COVID, it was more like 4 to 6 months. And now it's getting back to normal. They have implemented changes to their system by which now the application is resolved at the moment it's submitted, but you have to wait for an appointment. So the appointments are kind of 2 or 3 months away, but you have the knowledge that when you submit the application, if everything is in order, your application is approved right then and there. So those are ongoing changes, and each country will deal with them like in a different way and as best as they can. But in terms, I can give you an example of a Mexican work permit. Mexico divides their employment-based temporary residents. The main difference would be they have 2 options. One in which you transfer the employee to local payroll in Mexico, and one in which they remain on home payroll. Depending on which option you pick, the process will be different. I'll tell you about the local payroll in Mexico. So first, the company, there has to be a job offer from a Mexican entity. So this would be determined like, do you already have an entity in Mexico? If not, do you have a company that would sponsor the work permit of your employee? If that's not the case, then you need to open an office in Mexico. And once that office is established and duly registered with the fiscal authorities and and all the relevant permits for it to operate, then you're able to submit what's called an entry permit application. And for that, you need mainly three things from the employee. You will need a work offer, a valid work offer from the Mexican entity. You will need from the employee an original valid passport and a university diploma or proof of relevant experience. If there's no university diploma, you can have a company letter from your current employer that says the positions you have held with them, something to prove that you have the experience needed to take that job in Mexico. You submit the entry permit application. Once it's approved, the applicant will have to visit a Mexican consulate to get the visa stamped and then enter Mexico. Once they enter Mexico, they will change that consular visa on their passport for a temporary residence card, which the first one is valid for 1 year. At the time of renewal, you can renew up to 4 to make it a total of 5 years as temporary resident. After completing that period as temporary resident in Mexico, then you're eligible for permanent residence. And that's based on employment, like employment-based immigration. That would be a typical process for an employee-only case in Mexico. If the employee has a family, at the time his process is completed, then we can start the family's applications.
Okay, thank you so much for going in such details to explain this, Gerardo. I truly appreciate it. Now, what are some of the requirements for the home and host countries, assignees, and family members?
Sure. From the home company, meaning the current employer in the current employer of the assignee. They only have to, if the assignee does not have a university diploma, they will have to show proof of relevant work experience. And that would be the extent of their involvement. At that point, most of the burden falls on the host company in the host country. For example, in Mexico, and the employee. So the employee's responsibility is the valid passport and the university diploma. If there's no university diploma, experience letter. The host company has to have, in Mexico, there is a document called basic file that the company as an entity has to obtain from the immigration authorities. It's like a permit for them to sponsor work permits for foreigners. That is part of the requirements that need to be submitted for the entry permit application. So in case the company does not have that, we would first need to obtain that. And once that document is available, it's valid for a year and it's renewable yearly. Normally it's after the company files their annual tax return, because that's the information that they need to keep up to date. So basically, in the past, when there was no basic file requirement, the company would need to provide a lot of documents in terms of proving that they are current with their fiscal responsibilities. All the documents that are now submitted directly to the immigration authorities by them, they would have to be provided for each applicant's work permit application. So it was a matter of kind of streamlining the process. So now all they have to provide is like one copy of this document that they have current, and then submit the entry permit application. From the applicant is the passport and the university diploma or letter of experience. From the family members is usually original valid passports. And to prove the document that proves the link to the main applicant, which is marriage certificate for the spouse and birth certificates for the children. These documents need to be duly legalized for use in that host country, and that's part of the process, part of the services that we provide.
All right, all right. Gerardo, we briefly touched upon the immigration processing times for employment-based visas a little while ago. And you said that they are improving. Is that the case for family-based as well? The processing times?
Yes, yes. That is the same. The same thing applies for them. Just I understand that as governments, as we were hit with the COVID pandemic, and we didn't know what was going to happen, and I guess different stakeholders have adjusted differently, but as best as they can. Now it's been back moving to a quicker processing times, and that's an ongoing trend. So we expect that to be let me knock on wood
Yeah.
that we don't get another wave of really serious business slowdown.
Yeah. Now, Gerardo, at during the entire immigration process, right? At what point can an assignee really start working?
That would vary by country. Following up the example that I gave you in Mexico, uh, they can start again. It's an immigration versus labor issue. They would be able to start working as soon as they get to Mexico with their consular visa. But the company's formal hiring, being able to add him to payroll, would have to wait until he gets the post-arrival immigration process completed. So in terms of being able to work, he would be able to work. But in terms of being formally hired, he would have to complete the post-arrival portion of the process and receive the temporary residence card.
Okay, all right. And we are literally left with just 3 minutes until the end of our discussion. But very quickly, I want you to answer two questions. First, does the payroll of the assignee have to be transferred to local payroll in the destination country, or can they continue to, get the payroll on home country payroll?
Most countries give you the option. It doesn't have to be transferred to host company payroll. They can remain on home payroll and just continue or just start working in the host country. But the payroll does not have to be transferred.
Okay, great. And now that we are literally 2 minutes away, I want to quickly ask you for your top advice to companies who are looking to expand or relocate their talent to Latin American markets.
I would think that don't assume the Latin American region is one as a whole. It has a lot of diversity in terms of cultures, economies, economic potential, untapped markets, as I mentioned before. I guess my top advice is do not just assume it's one piece of land and one as a whole. It has a multitude of possibilities. And depending on the product that you're trying to get in the market, it would depend the area where we would recommend to explore. But I guess my top advice is don't make assumptions. Really give it an opportunity to show you what it can do, and you'd be surprised.
Yeah, and that's exactly where our global mobility manager, Gerardo Mendez, can help you. So if you have any questions for us, info@chugh.com. We are really reaching the end of our discussion today. We won't be able to take any questions, but if you're watching us as a recorded version, info@chugh.com. If you are a company who are looking to expand into the Latin American region, feel free to reach out to us, set up a consult, and we'll be able to guide you in the right way. One of the best parts, and I love saying this, about working with Chugh and our clients that come and tell us is how cost effective our services are. And I'm sure, Gerardo, that's what you hear all the time as well from clients.
Yes. We that's one of our approaches to help you in the most cost and time effective way, while ensuring that you keep compliance with the regulations.
Absolutely. Gerardo, thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you to all of you who are watching us and who've been with us throughout the live today. If you have any questions, info@chugh.com. Be well. I will meet you next week with another attorney or a tax CPA. I don't know. You'll have to find out. Subscribe to one of our channels, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, to find out what topic we're going to discuss next week. Until then, be well.